So I wanted to talk about, our company, Sagewise, is focused on dispute resolution systems. And in that, we think we can create more efficient contracts and smart contracts. And when you think about creating dispute resolution systems, what you really need to make a good dispute resolution system is a lot of backing data going into it that can provide you with intelligence, or the person who's resolving the disputes can have a lot of information about what may have triggered this dispute. And the more data they have, the easier they can come to a correct conclusion about how to resolve that dispute. So what I'm showing up on the screen is an Sdk example that we've created. We have an Sdk for our infrastructure around dispute resolution, and we've created this light contract management system as an example of what you can do with it. So I'm going to go ahead and create a contract really quickly. I'm going to make a custom contract. I'm just going to pretend that I am a manufacturer who is working with a new client, and they're asking me to do a prototype with them. I'm going to call this one Prototype 9. And I'm worried that they're not going to pay me because I haven't worked with them before, so I'm going to go ahead and ask them to fund $2,000 into an escrow. And we said we're going to finish this contract sometime next month, so I'm going to go ahead and mark that down as a completion date. And then I'm going to punch in their information because it's actually going to send them an email and invite them. And then I'm just going to call this the prototype contract draft, just to make it quick here. So this is where you'd actually upload a contract as a Word document, or you can type one in here if it's a really short contract. And there you go, the prototype 9 was created. So there's a new contract that's active, and Brian would have gotten an email stating that a new contract has been created, and if he can come to the portal and also provide escrow payment for this contract, then that would be helpful. When you punch in and look at what actually went on inside of this particular contract, what you see is there's a revision history around everything that's taken place. So we have the initial escrow and the initial revision. Let's say, for example, that I just realized that I actually need to make a change to the contract that I sent, because as we know, contracts change a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and edit the contract from here, and I'm just going to say, I forgot to say that this is actually for the t-shirts only. So I'm going to add that to the contract, and I'm going to leave a note here that just says, based on our phone call, it's only going to be for the t-shirts. So that's just so I remember why I'm making a change to the contract later. And that actually gets recorded straight down to the ledger. So we have this great cryptographic backing on the blockchain listing everything that's changed with this contract. And in fact, once Brian logs in and signs it, you'll also see record of his approval of the contract listed here and his e-signature. So what we've created, in essence, is a way to find the proof of intent, find the contract intent. It's not just about what the contract says today, but how did we get there? What were the things that went into the contract that we were thinking about? Because that may be important when the dispute arises. You can fund the escrow, and it's important to realize that when you're funding escrow on our platform, you're not actually giving us money that we're holding for you at Sagewise. It's actually going into a smart contract where the money's held, so we don't actually have control of it. It's a shared control between the parties in the contract. And then ultimately, the final party that can make a decision about what happens with that escrow is the dispute resolution vendor. We have a marketplace of vendors that you can use to help you resolve disputes. And so at the beginning of this contract, when you select details of the contract, you also select which dispute resolution vendor you plan to use. And so ultimately, when an issue arises, you can actually just click this button. And just to talk about what's happening with the dispute is we're actually going to roll up information around everything that's happened with this contract. And then also, if we look at the other companies that are here, one of the great things that could be added into the system using our SDK is other data sources. So if you have a blockchain-based supply chain system that's showing tracking of a particular package and it arrived damaged, maybe all the tracking information about whose hands were on it throughout the process would be helpful in coming to a conclusion about what happened with that package. So again, we're after proof of intent, and ultimately we think that a system like this will allow you to have more efficient disputes. And by having more efficient disputes, you'll have more efficient commerce. So thank you.